The bell over the diner door rattled weakly as midnight crept closer to the end of December, and the woman at the counter folded her hands around a chipped mug like it was the last warm thing she owned in the world. Outside, fireworks were already being tested by impatient neighbors, bright flashes reflecting off the windows, mocking the quiet hunger sitting in her chest. She had $3 in her coat pocket, counted twice, then once more just to be sure, and she kept wondering how a year could end so loudly while a life felt like it was closing in on itself so quietly. What if this were you, sitting under buzzing lights with only enough money for one small comfort? Would you still walk in, or would you turn away and pretend you didn't deserve even that? Her name was Marissa, and the diner off a highway in Ohio had become her refuge on nights when the apartment felt too cold and too empty. New Year's Eve sounded like a joke to people with plans and families, but for her it was just another reminder that she had survived another year without really living in it. The waitress, tired but kind, had suggested the cheapest thing on the menu, and Marissa nodded, cheeks burning, pretending she wasn't calculating tax in her head. She told herself that bread and soup were enough, that it didn't matter if everyone else was counting down to something better. Still, as she stared at the clock above the grill, she wondered when her own countdown had started, and how she had missed it. Marissa hadn't always been this careful with dollars. She used to work full-time at a nursing home in Indiana, pulling double shifts and dreaming about going back to school. Then her mother got sick, and Marissa moved her in, and the savings disappeared into prescriptions and hospital parking fees. When her mother passed, the grief lingered longer than the money ever had. She tried to keep going, but a slip disc from lifting patients wrong ended her job, and the medical bills finished what the bad luck started. By the time she moved states looking for cheaper rent and a fresh start, all she had left was a stubborn hope that things might still turn around. The door opened again, letting in a gust of winter air and a man with tired eyes and a child's backpack slung over one shoulder. His name was Nathan, and he paused just inside, scanning the room like someone measuring the cost of warmth against the weight of responsibility. He was a single father to a 7-year-old boy asleep in the car, worn out from a day of moving between relatives who meant well but couldn't help much. Nathan worked maintenance for a small apartment complex in Kentucky, driving rideshare at night when his back allowed it, counting every mile against the gas gauge. That night, he had only planned to grab something cheap to go, but the empty booths and quiet felt like an invitation to sit, if only for a moment. Nathan took the stool beside Marissa, leaving a respectful space, and ordered something simple. He noticed her plate when it arrived, noticed how carefully she ate, breaking bread into small pieces like she was trying to make it last longer. There was something familiar in that restraint, something that tugged at memories he didn't like visiting. He thought about his son asleep in the car, about how children never forget the years when adults had to make impossible choices. If you were in his place, would you look away to protect yourself, or would you risk seeing too much? The diner hummed with the low sounds of cooking and distant laughter from a radio tuned to a holiday station. Marissa kept her eyes down, aware of Nathan's presence but too tired to feel embarrassed anymore. She told herself she was invisible, just another lonely figure at a counter on a night meant for celebration. But when she reached for her mug and realized she had finished her meal too quickly, panic flickered across her face. $3 had bought her food, not comfort, and the idea of going back out into the cold with nothing left made her chest ache. Nathan felt that ache like it was his own. He remembered nights when he had eaten so his son wouldn't have to, and mornings when he pretended hunger was just another kind of discipline. Without making a show of it, he caught the waitress's attention and paid for another bowl of soup and a slice of pie, telling her quietly to bring it to the woman beside him as if it had been a mistake. He didn't do it because he felt rich or generous, he did it because he knew what it meant to be seen at your lowest and still treated like you mattered. When the food arrived, Marissa looked up in confusion, then disbelief, then something close to tears she tried hard to swallow back. She glanced around, searching for an explanation, and her eyes met Nathan's for the first time. There was no pity there, only a steady kindness that felt almost overwhelming. In that moment, the diner seemed to fade, replaced by the heavy realization that she wasn't as alone as she thought. How long had it been since someone had done something for her without asking for anything in return? They didn't talk much, but they didn't need to. Nathan finished his meal and left a tip he could barely afford, then bundled up to head back to his car and his sleeping son. Before he left, he scribbled something on the back of a receipt and slid it across the counter, a local church pantry address and a phone number for a community clinic he trusted. It wasn't a promise that everything would be okay, but it was a thread, thin and fragile, connecting her to a future that might hold more than survival. After he left, Marissa sat there for a long time, letting the warmth of the soup and the unexpected generosity settle into her bones. She thought about the year ending in just a few hours, about all the times she had felt invisible and all the moments she had kept going anyway. She wondered what it would mean to believe that kindness could arrive unannounced, even on nights when you had only $3 to your name. Outside, the fireworks grew louder, celebrating a new beginning that felt a little less distant now. Marissa paid her bill and stepped into the cold, clutching the receipt like a lifeline. She didn't know what the next year would bring, but she knew she would remember this night, this stranger, and the quiet reminder that compassion still existed in small, ordinary places. If this story stirred something in you, pause for a moment and share in the comments what kindness, given or received, has stayed with you the longest. And if this story truly touched your heart, gently consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing, so more moments of hope like this can reach those who need them most.